So let's start with who's leading off. And number 1 for the Yankees, it's Brett Gardner at left field. He had a great year last year, 21 home runs, 63 RBIs. I think he might take a little bit of a step back. I think 21 home runs, we can all agree, is a little bit egregious for Brett Gardner. Might have to do with the balls being juiced or something, but you didn't hear that from me. He had a great year last year. I think he'll have another good year this year. A 756 OPS going into next season is a little bit low for a leadoff guy, but he sets the table really well. He's done a lot of good things for the Yanks, especially from that leadoff spot. I think Brett Gardner is solid there at number 1. Let's get into number 2, and this is where things start getting a little tricky. What do they do with Stanton, Judge, and Sanchez? I think they're going to put Judge at 2. I think they're going to take a page out of the Angels book and put their best player at that number 2 spot. Obviously, Judge had that incredible season last year, 52 homers and above 1 OPS and 114 RBIs. I don't think he'll be as good as he was last year, but I still think he'll hit 47 home runs and break that 100 RBI moniker. I think his OPS is going to come down a little bit. I think he's not going to get walked as much. I think I'll put it this way. Remember that season that Bryce Harper had a couple years ago where he struggled a little bit because pitchers started to pitch around him and figure him out? I think Aaron Judge is going to go through a little bit of Bryce Harper similar struggles, but he'll still have a fantastic season. Let's get to number 3, and that's Giancarlo Stanton. Yes, we're putting Stanton at the 3 spot. Obviously, the reigning NL MVP at 59 home runs, 132 RBIs. That OPS as well was ridiculous. This year, I think he'll have 52 homers, hit about 280. Very similar season from last year. Remember, this is his peak. He's now 28 years old, so he's now getting into the best seasons of his career. I think you'll start to see a lot of 50 home run seasons from Stanton, but I will say this, he has to stay healthy for all 162 games to reach that 52 home run mark. So we'll see what ends up happening with Giancarlo Stanton this year, but we have him at number 3 in our batting order. Let's go to number 4. It's scary Gary Sanchez. Yes, I have him hitting in that cleanup spot. I think he deserves it. He had 33 home runs and 90 ribbies last year. I think he's going to have a better season this year. I think his OPS is going to go up, might hit a couple more home runs. That RBI number is going to go up with Judge and Stanton hitting in front of him. Look, he's only 25 at this point. It's just not fair. He's going to end up being the best offensive catcher in baseball this year, minus maybe only Buster Posey. So a lot of different options for the New York Yankees in that 2, 3, 4 spot. But we have a reaction poll. Who do you guys think should bat 3rd for the Yankees? Give me a heart for Aaron Judge. Give me a wow face for Giancarlo. Give me a laughing face for Scary Gary. And then give me a thumbs up if you think it's going to be someone else. Let's get back into the batting order, and we go to number 5. We're going to start this one off with Greg Bird. And Greg Bird is a very interesting case for the New York Yankees. Had a really rough year last year, but was great in the playoffs. I think with the Yankees this year, they need to expect him to be able to hit 22 home runs, maybe about 60 RBIs. I have him putting up an 813 OPS. I think he's going to have a good year. This will be his first full year in the majors, at least without an injury. Let's hope that he's able to stay healthy coming out of spring training, but I think Greg Bird is going to be a good option for that number 5 spot. They'll probably be able to shuffle the bottom 5, 6, 7, 8 guys depending on who has the hot bat, but I think Greg Bird should get that opening day number 5 spot. Let's go to number 6. He was the cleanup guy last year, but when you acquire Giancarlo Stanton, you're going to get moved down the lineup. We have Didi Gregorius coming in number 6, had an amazing season last year. 287, 25 homers, 87 ribbies. I think he should have a similar season that he did last year. I think this is who he is now. We're in his peak, so this is how good he should be. I think his average will come down a little bit, as will the power, but I think the RBIs and the OPS will stay about the same. He's a really good player. He's one of the best players, one of the best shortstops in all of baseball, and really proved it last year. So be on the lookout for another great season from Didi. Let's go to number 7. And yes, I have Aaron Hicks in the starting lineup for the projected batting order. I think he's going to start in center field. All this stuff about Aaron Hicks maybe DHing and having Gardner, Judge, and Stanton in the outfield all at once. To be totally honest, guys, it's kind of a defensive nightmare. So we're going to put Hicks in center field, one of the best defensive center fielders in baseball last season. 15 home runs, 52 RBIs with the bat. I think this year will be about the same general numbers. I think his OPS is going to drop. We saw him go through a nasty cold streak in the second half, and it definitely took his numbers down, but I think his projected stats are pretty fitting for what Aaron Hicks should be doing at age 28. Let's go to number 8, and yes, we have newly acquired Brandon Drury. So I mentioned that they acquired a second baseman, but Drury can play all over the infield. He's very versatile, and I think that they got a steal in terms of a trade. I think he's going to be a great player for the Yankees. He had an interesting year last year, 13 home runs, 63 RBIs. I'm not totally convinced that his home run numbers are going to go up. I just don't see it in his swing. And when you go from Arizona to New York, I think the numbers will tell you that the home runs are either going to go down or stay the same. But Brandon Drury is a good option. I think he's going to be a stable stable option for them at third base. And finally, at second base, I have made my decision, and I'm giving it to Gleybar Torres. So obviously, we thought he might actually make the 25-man roster last spring training, but he ended up going to the minors. They wanted to do the whole waiting for him to get the proper, save him a year like the Cubs did with Chris Bryant and all that, and he ended up needing Tommy John surgery in his non-throwing elbow. So now Gleybar Torres has a full spring training ahead of him. He really should win that second baseman job. If he doesn't win that job, I think we should all be disappointed. This is one of the top prospects in all of baseball. He's only 21 years old. He was raking in the minors before he got injured. When he got called up to AAA, he was actually hitting over 300 around the time that he got injured. So expect Gleybar Torres to make an instant impact on the Yankees next season, as we have him at number 9 in our batting order. Hey, sometimes that number 9 hitter is just as important as number 1. But you can follow the page Yankees HQ by Chad Sports, and you can also follow me on Twitter at SportsDean. But that's going to do it for Yankees Report today. We'll see ya.